Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode today here on the Growing Green podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and I'm super excited to come to you today with another fresh new guest interview for you from the LCR Summit here in Atlanta. Thanks to Naylor for putting on an awesome event. Some great attendees, some great speakers, some great lineups that we just had to spend some really, really good time networking and getting to meet new people. That's what these events are all about, right? I mean, it's getting to meet great people like yourself. So we'll go and bring him in. Jason with SkyFrog. I'm excited to have you in, dude. It's really cool. I want to hear more of your story. Like we were talking yesterday, I was like, how many guys you got? Oh, we got about 40. I was like, what are you doing? He said, man, you got some crazy stories.
We do. We got
as far as some crazy shop mess ups and mishaps and a lot of stuff to get into there. So, Jason, just walk us through, man. Take us back to the beginning. Just kind of share your story. Let everybody know who you are. And then I kind of want to dive into some real business growth tips and principles.
So I guess to start off, I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is my first official podcast. So,
really? There you go.
Maybe we'll see how it goes. I'll try to do good for you. I will fast track to kind of keep the story somewhat short. I went to study horticulture at the University of Florida, 2004. So I studied landscape nursery management there, ran a little design build company that was off the books company. So avoiding some taxes. That was good for profit. Ran that through college, and then I went to work for Yellowstone Landscape over on the east coast of Florida. So I was a project manager for them for 2 years. Gained some great knowledge for some great people there, great organization. Those guys are still in the industry. A lot of them go. The leadership team that was working there is now working for Heartland. So big level stuff in the industry, and learned a lot. And then I decided in 2009. Economy was going a little sideways. The salary freezes within the more corporate company, so I seized the opportunity to move back to Gainesville and start SkyFrog Landscape. We partnered up with SkyFrog Tree Service, who I'd met going to school, and so we're two separate entities working underneath the same brand. So between the landscape company and Tree Service, we can generally cover most everything in the tree business. We're a full service landscape company. We do design, build, maintenance, and irrigation service and pest control.
So you moved back and started that when?
2009.
Okay. So you started in 2009, and did you just start like fresh? Nobody?
I started fresh, no plan. Coming from a big corporate company, catalyst for me leaving was I ended up going back and working underneath a manager that I kind of deemed that I couldn't learn. I'd learned everything I could learn from working for him. I've always, places that I've worked, I've always tried to, use that as a, metric, metric, I guess, if you will. So, if you try to learn from everybody you can. So I just hit a point where, if I'm going to be here another couple of years, I'm not going to learn much more from this guy. So that was a catalyst to jump ship, and I really jumped ship with no plan. So that's a little bit different than a lot of, people starting out these days. There's a lot more information out, with podcasts and on the internet than there used to be. So it started with me, a truck and a trailer, and we just hit the ground running.
Were you single at that time?
I had a girlfriend, and she moved out of Gainesville within about a month of me moving in. She ended up going to college in Jacksonville. Oh, wow. So now my wife, so we still...
Oh, so y'all stay together?
Yep, so even though we crossed paths, we're married, happily married, have a 5-year-old son, so...
Yeah.
So that's good.
That's crazy. That's wild. I mean, I want to dive into that. Back, so what was that, 14 years ago?
It was.
Almost 15 years in business. That's crazy. I feel like most businesses don't even make it past that 5-year mark, and now you're going on 3 times that.
Man, there's definitely some struggles along the way, but we're good at grit and perseverance. So.
Yeah. I mean, what are some key principles? I mean, we don't have time to go into a full breakdown of the business, but what are some key takeaways that you've said that you would say have really helped you scale your company? Because a lot of guys this year are working, wanting to focus on working on versus in their company.
Yep.
And I feel like you have to do that to scale. And so what are some key things you take away? You look back in those early days like that you were doing that you would say, hey, do this, and you're going to see some really good growth.
Some of it I would attribute to just hard work and hustle, kind of with growth and networking, and kind of with fast growth. We've had some fast growth, slow growth years, but with that growth, sometimes you take your eye off the ball. Yeah. And I could tell in about 2016, 17, I think we'd passed the $1 million mark by then, which was kind of always my goal. So I got to get to $1 million bucks, and I didn't really care how I got there. We're just going to hustle, work hard, get to $1 million. That's going to be the answer. It wasn't the answer. We're still not at the profit that we wanted to be. So kind of after we hit that benchmark, we tried to start working more on the business. Yeah. And really, I would say with scalability and growth, whatever market you're in, networking with whoever you're going to do business for, other contractors,
Are you mainly commercial or residential?
It's a split throughout the business. We're about 50-50 installation to maintenance. I would say our maintenance divisions could split 70-30 commercial to residential.
So you're pretty commercial heavy.
Yep, on maintenance, and then our design build portion of the business is really heavily focused on residential renovations.
Yeah. So okay, that's super cool. So how are you networking with commercial people? Like, I feel like that's a hot topic right now. Is I want to get more commercial work. I want to grow that side of the business. How do you network? What are your tips for getting in and selling to those companies? And
that's something that our relationship with our tree service, they do. We only have so many customers that we have on contractual work. They do new work every day for tons of customers. So we've garnered some of that commercial work relationships through them, and then it's circled back around vice versa. I would say in the beginning, a lot of it was that we just, we focused on hustling, and we did really good work. Yeah. So that kind of built a reputation in town of, giving us some steam in that aspect. And I feel like we've kind of gotten away from that some. And to hit our growth goals now I'm circling back around and trying to do the same exact thing. So now it's, how do we build back some of these relationships, garner new relationships in town? And so we're going out and just kind of hitting the streets, boots on the ground. Yeah. Meeting with property managers. We do a fair amount of HOA work. Mm-hmm. So
what does your HOA look like? Is it you do all the houses in an HOA, or you do the commons in an HOA?
It varies. We do a large amount of properties where it's just common areas. Yep. We have 3 properties where we do common areas. We have 2 properties we do common areas in front yards, and we have another property we do common areas fronts and backs. Okay. So it kind of gets which one adds a lot of opinions to the neighborhood or to the job from customer standpoint, and then it's also a little confusing for our guys. It's one property they mow 20 feet back from the front corner of the house. The other property they have to go in the backyard. Yep. So it gets a little confusing, but it's good work to have with some of our boots on the ground effort now. We are going back into a little more industrial work, office complexes, and trying to meet some of those commercial real estate property managers.
How do you get through the gatekeeper?
That's always the hardest part. I've dived more into LinkedIn and Instagram, trying to just go out and follow and find out who that person is. Really? And this is only, I'm probably a month into that effort on social media, but making the connections there and then just stopping in and saying hello. And I guess with the growth that we've had, we've never really been forced to go out and try to make the sales. Yeah. So now that in our current economic state this year, it's very evident that it's time to get out and get out and get to work. We ran our budget for this year, and we're about $3 million in revenue for the past 3 years, and hit a little bit of a plateau. But running our budget, we really need to be doing another $1 million. So that's the sales goal for this year. Let's go out and hit it. And that percentage growth wise, it seems like a large number now, but percentage of growth, it's not unattainable. So our goal is, even if we don't hit that mark this year in 2024, that we're on budget to hit that in 2025. So I think it's attainable for us, but it's going to be a little more work than it has been in the past.
So $3 million in revenue this year, that's a high number for a lot of guys. It stresses them out, it scares them, but it also, there's a lot of people that are going to listen and say that's motivation to grow to that size. How did you get past the beginning stage of getting to that $1 million? When you're doing $3 million a year, you're doing $8,000-$10,000 a day. Like that's what your company has to do to produce for the year. Sometimes more, really more than that probably, because that's counting. I just did 3 million divided by 350.
Yep.
So that's counting weekends. Like
yep.
We're talking working days. You're what, 12,000, 15,000?
Yeah. I've done. Normally we break it out by month, and yes, I'm not sure what it is by day, but
what is it?
We're doing usually? About we're doing 250 on average.
A month.
So, yep, some months, we'll scale down. And it really fluctuates on our install schedule. So, spring times we might bump up some heavy months there, and then winter time might be a little bit slower, but average is at about 250 a month.
So, if you did 250 and then there's 4 weeks in a month times 5 is 20. So, 250 divided by 20 is 20, 24. Almost 20. Was that 20 a day? It's over 20 a day, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, you are, how do you stomach that? How did you get through that?
There's a lot of sleepless nights. I would say growth-wise, the hardest part of the business was getting past. There was something that we just, I can't go back and put my finger on it now, but getting past our third crew, kind of adding that fourth crew. It seems like every time we would get to that point in growth, just something would happen. And so getting past that mark and being able to stabilize just that little bit of growth, that got us to the $1 million mark. And once we cracked the $1 million mark, that gave us enough cash flow that we actually moved into, and we bounced around between, squatting in places with trucks and running out of my house. So we played all the games of where we operated out of. But once we broke that $1 million mark, then we had the cash flow to go ahead and, move into a facility and start to stabilize there. And then that really gave us the platform. Once we could afford that really gave us the platform. We went from, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think when we broke $1 million, we landed at like 1.2, and within 24 months we were at 2 million, and still not quite as profitable as we could have been. So I jumped in and said, all right, well, the right answer is just to go do more work. So we jumped into some bid build work, and I think we hit the $1 million mark, and within another 3 million mark within another probably 18 months. So there's some fast growth there once we could stabilize, but with that fast growth came, especially now coming to the LCR Summit, meeting some people that are planning on, planning in earlier stages of their business. Now it's, oh man, I wish I could go back in time and, would have slowed down and planned a little bit more. So it's been an adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot you learn along the way. I mean, so much to unpack. God, there's so much to unpack, but we don't have time for it. I want to be respectful of your time.
I can always come back on, and
that's right.
We'll do a part 2. Absolutely.
That's right. We'll have to do a full interview once you get home or something. But we're going into spring here. We're 6 weeks out from spring, really. What part of Florida are you in?
Gainesville, so north central.
So do y'all stay year round for the most part?
We do. Most of our maintenance contracts is standard 42 visits. We've done away with our biweekly customers.
So do you go biweekly during the winter?
Yeah, October through March.
Yeah. What do you, as we get ready for spring, what would you tell someone who wants to grow their company this year? Who wants to take their company, maybe add a crew, try to really grow that?
I think that the boots on the ground marketing, getting out there and just meeting people is going to be key.
Sell.
And then also, reaching out to your customers for referrals. We are this year making an effort, but we've never done a great job of circling back around and actually garnering everything that our current customers have to offer, and that's just low hanging fruit for us. And so we're going to put a focus on that this year, but sell, and then really, as some of the speakers this morning, I mean, hit home for me because a lot of their stories are things that I've already lived through or I'm actively recovering from and going through. So it's kind of it's great to hear them speak of some of the things I've gone through and that and see where they've come from it. But having great employees and doing great work. If you do great work, high quality work, the work will come to you. That's where it was in the beginning for us. We've rode some roller coasters of ups and downs since then, but high quality work, if that is performed, then more work will come to you just naturally. So
maintain that quality.
Yep.
Did you struggle with quality control as you grew?
We did. We've struggled through some quality control, and it's still, and I'm pretty hard on myself on the quality aspect, quality control. So, even some of our bad work has better than our competition's good work.
Yeah.
So, but that's not an excuse to do subpar work. So, I think overall our quality has always been good, but it's ups and downs as we grew. If we grow to 5 or 6 maintenance crews, we might have, 4 crews that are doing great, one that's doing okay, and then one that's not doing good at all, and not being proactive enough to really jump on that, that portion that was falling behind. I think we were a little slow to react on some of that. And, our customer retention is pretty good. We had some major pricing changes that we did last year. Lost about $500,000 in maintenance work because of that, but it righted our ship, and set us in a path where now we can really focus on profitability. And we've sold that work back again this year. Our bidding season in Florida for commercial work is really, either the work comes around in October or it comes around in January for bidding season.
That's the way it is for us too, yeah.
So we were able to jump into that and recover everything that we lost, and we might actually be a little bit ahead from where we were. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. That's so crazy to hear that story. I mean, I can't wait to go a little deeper in the future. But is there what's some parting advice that you would give to guys out there who just want to grow a better company? The boots on the ground, I think you said, is good advice. But as far as maybe hiring guys or adding team members, growing that culture, just one piece of business advice you would leave with somebody.
The motto of hire slow, fire fast. I mean, it's not a new piece of information, but it's something to operate by and die by. Especially, I mean, and both of those are equally as important.
I was going to ask you, which one do you think it's more important to fire fast or to hire slow? Because they go hand in hand. But I've been in both of those positions and done them both wrong. I've let guys stay on that are a cancer to the company for too long, and I've seen how it messes up. And like we heard in production, we heard in culture, and it's hard for me because I get personally, and it might be a little easier at your size, I'm assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, but you're not in the truck every day with these guys, so you don't grow that super personal connection. Yep. Whereas in a level like mine, we have 2 or 3 guys with us, you see those guys, you see what they're going through, you build that personal relationship, and it's hard to say, see ya. But you, at the end of the day, I've realized that I've put my family first and our business first. What do you say to that? And
it's still hard, even if sometimes we got to let guys go. And normally, if they're a toxic employee, then it's pretty easy.
Yeah. And
to make that decision, it's when you have someone that's just either not the right fit or you don't have them on the right seat in the bus. That's when it gets into it's still a really good person, but you're just not going to work out here working for us. So that's when it gets into a little bit harder, and we have a tendency to. Anyway, and that's the basis for having problems with the firing fast, letting it linger and feeling bad, and it's real, and everybody that owns a business is going to have to go through it at some point. But trying to have some sort of separation there where you have to realize you still have to run an organization, make those decisions and do it. And sometimes the answer is as long as it's not a high level of toxicity, and maybe that person's not in the right spot in the business. So we've tried to. And to my guys that have been loyal to me, I'll be loyal to them to a fault. To my fault. That if they've been loyal to me for 10 years, and you will always have a spot working for me somewhere.
Yeah.
So and we've had to move some people around recently to kind of fill seats and make it more efficient for the business, and it's been positive. So on their end, on our end, but
I love it. Is there any groups that you're in, or have you ever been in any peer group coaching groups as you've grown?
Yeah, no, I'm actually a member of Jeffrey Scott's peer group network. So I joined that in 2020. Has
it been beneficial for you?
It has. So it's kind of like coming to any of these events.
Yeah.
It's at least a mini therapy session. So surrounding yourself by a group of people that, and with Jeffrey's group specifically, we're similar size companies. He does a good job, but then he has multiple peer groups, but he does a good job of sorting those groups by size of business.
Yeah.
So that we're all going through the same things. We're all have the same motivations and desires from the business, and it's just great to surround yourself with people that have either gone through the same struggles or are going through them. And so I'd recommend any peer group, any, or even your community with the podcast community that you guys have. I mean, you're your own mini peer group. So
when would you say is a good revenue level to get in? Maybe not Jeffrey Scott's, but some type of entry level peer group. If you're looking to grow,
as soon as you can. as soon as you can afford it, or even before you can afford it.
That's what I was about to say.
So, do it. It's like, I can't, that was my hang up for, I first heard Jeffrey talk in 2009 and followed him ever since. GIE, I heard him talk, or Equip now. So I heard him talk in 2009. And then it was 2020 before, I circled back around with him. But he always was on the radar on LinkedIn or, other social media things. So I always kept track of what he was doing, and it just seemed like a natural fit. We also worked with Tony Bass here in Atlanta. So we went through Tony's Profit Builder courses a few times. And I would say if you don't know your numbers, that's a course to look into. He locks you in a room for 2.5 days. Yeah, he's got his workbook. You strip down every penny that goes into your business, and you come out with a budget built on multiple overhead recovery systems, and
you don't stray from it.
You don't stray from it, and that was part of our. And Tony's a great guy. I think we've done the class 3 times. We didn't go this year, just time wise. I still wanted to. We went last year, and I brought my office manager and my landscape designer just so that they could actually see. There's a big difference between me going to the class and bringing information back and them coming and actually seeing it. So, they help them wrap their head around the system a little bit better. But we were guilty in, 2016. We went and, went through the class, and it's like, okay, we need to charge, I think back then it was $39 an hour to make a 10% net. And what did we do? We went home and we started bidding work at whatever the market price was. And it wasn't $39, so we didn't learn our lesson then. And we've learned our lesson now. So, pricing right is key. And
are you still selling work at that new price?
Our new price, we are. It's harder. I mean, we've got guys, and I don't have any problem talking numbers. Our hourly rate, when we ran our numbers, we need to be somewhere between $49 and $51 to kind of get to that 10 to 12% net on maintenance. And it's still hard. We got guys that are in our market, they're charging $40 an hour. That's 20% less. So, I mean, to go to a $100,000 contract and have somebody come in, 15, 20 grand below you, that's a lot of times they're getting the work, but then we've just stuck to our guns, and now we're seeing some of those contracts
circle back.
They're circling back around. It's not all, it was made up to be. And we're getting the work. And as we've raised our prices, we've had customers, and we were guilty for not raising our prices for many years. We were scared to, out of just fear. That's all it was straight fear. If we raise our prices, we're going to lose the work, and that's probably my biggest mistake in business so far, is being scared of that. And with that, moving forward, now I'm not afraid. And so if we lose the work, we lose the work, and we've had a lot of those contracts circle back around.
Yeah.
So, and hire somebody that's, in our market, 30 to 40% lower than us, and those are some of the worst contractors in town. And 3 months into their new contract, they're calling us up, please bring us back. And we had one HOA last year. It's just like I can't. We've staffed for the season. It's now in, and you're here in the South, and May and June things start growing pretty quick, and
100%.
And it's just like we can't, we can't take you back now. It'll be an even higher price. If you wait till January, it'll be a similar price. If I have to take you on mid-season, then we're gonna have to compensate, because it's going to throw a monkey wrench in our plans.
Yeah. How are you staffing? Are you running any H-2B program or anything like that? Are you?
We are not. We have part of our workforce is Hispanic. We're not on H-2B. It's mainly just local labor.
Yeah. That's got to be good as far as like knowing you're going to keep or knowing you have the potential to keep them. The H-2B, you don't know who you're going to get or when you're going to get them.
No, the H-2B program scares me a little bit. I've watched a few, and they're great contractors. A few guys in Michigan in our peer group, they've recently had H-2B workers, and then, last year they didn't get them.
Yeah.
And it's just that, whoa.
Well, that's like that story in there.
Yeah. No, 130 guys don't show up. That makes me sick.
$6 million is what he wanted to get rid of.
That makes me sick to my stomach hearing that story.
Yeah.
For them. That scares me.
Hired 100 guys in 30 days.
That's nuts to pull that off. We ran a lot of, Indeed is everyone's go-to now to try to find people, and it works. But we got to the point that we were, in season just trying to find employees, giving up to the Indeed gods of, thousands of dollars a month every time we turn on an ad or multiple ads. And so we've recently hired Team Engine as a company. And so they do a lot more than what we're using them for, really just strictly using them for recruiting. But it's a lot of employee management and HR things that hopefully this year we'll get to dive into.
Yeah.
But for us, it's a pretty reasonable monthly rate for them to help us organize that whole part of the business.
That's awesome, dude. Well, thanks for coming on and spending some time with us. We definitely want to do a more full length, in depth down the road here soon, but I appreciate your time. Where can anybody follow you or maybe ask you a question down the road if they want to see you on social?
They can reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's at SkyFrog Landscape on all three platforms. We've actually, hopefully within 6 to 8 weeks, we'll be rolling out with a podcast of our own with Mr. Producers. So that'll be the green side up. Won't be out for a little while, but yeah.
Super cool, dude. Well, that's awesome news. There's a little tease there for you. So, guys, thanks for tuning in to the show today. I hope you enjoyed it. It means the world that you came and hung out with us today. If you enjoyed it, leave us a big 5-star rating and review. Reach out to Jason and say thanks for coming on to the show. And without any further ado, Jason, let's wrap this one up.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, man. We look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.